All right, everyone. Hi, and welcome to today's eFolder webinar. My name is Ari. I'm the EMEA marketing coordinator at eFolder, based in very snowy and chilly Berlin, in Germany. So perfect weather to stay inside and listen to a webinar, in my opinion. So thanks for everyone who's joining. This webinar series brings together experts from the eFolder staff and partner community for a deep dive practical discussion on key services and technical topics. And so today's webinar is all about 3 ways to securely share files using a business-grade file sync method. And for that, we're being joined by Sean Smith, one of our eFolder anchor partners based in Johannesburg, South Africa. So before we go through the agenda, I just want to cover a few housekeeping items. Today's session is being recorded, and the recorded version of the webinar will be made available to everyone on eFolder's YouTube channel. You can just type in eFolder on YouTube and go through all the webinars we have online. But we will also send copies of both the slide deck and the recorded version via email to everyone who registered for the event. Everyone who's attending is put in listen-only mode, which means that you can enjoy the audio portion of today's event by either streaming it on your computer or dialing in over the phone. And of course, feel free to ask questions. We have planned some time at the end for a Q&A section, but do feel free to use the chat log in your panel on the right to submit questions as we go along, and then I'll try to address them on the fly. As you can see, today's webinar follows a rather logical flow. First, we will discuss challenges with existing file sharing methods today. Then I want to briefly introduce Anchor, just to give you a bit of a product overview and help you understand how your clients could use it very easily and securely to share files. And then finally, Sean will demo how this would look in reality. And then, of course, we have time for your questions. So let me just introduce Sean, Sean Smith. He's the owner of Brender's Computers, which is an MSP business based in Johannesburg, South Africa. Brender's has been using Anchor for well over a year and has deployed over about 200 end users on the platform, so lots of experience with the product. Hi, Sean. Thanks so much for joining us today. How about you just talk a little bit about your business so that people know what you guys do and what services you provide?
Sure. Okay, well, we're Branders Computers, and we're a managed service provider based in Johannesburg, South Africa. We've been in operation since about 2005, and we provide managed IT services predominantly in the small to medium enterprise sector. Mm-hmm. And we service clients in sub-Saharan Africa as well as China and Australia.
Nice.
We've been an anchor partner for about 2 years now, I think. And as you said, yeah, we've got about 20 anchor deployments, around about 250 endpoints, and we host all of that on our own infrastructure.
Perfect. Great. And I remember when I called you and asked you about your experience with file sharing, you were like, oh yeah, we do that all the time. So I'm really glad to have you joining us today for this session.
My pleasure.
All right. So I want to jump right in and discuss what the status quo is for a lot of, individuals and also your clients today when it comes to file sharing. So the first and very obvious file sharing method is email. For the longest time, and even up until now, people have been using email to share attachments. But the problem with that is that it really is more of a one-way communication method. Because inherently, when you're sharing files via email, you're not really able to collaborate with them, right? You can't edit the same document with multiple people. You can't see who made which edits at what time on which document. And instead, you just end up with various amounts of the saved copies. You send a bunch of emails back and forth. And, overall, it's just a very clunky version of the product. And then the other problem with email is that the amount of files that can be attached is very limited. And we've probably all experienced that, whether it's sending holiday pictures to your parents or a funny video to your coworker or just a lot of files to your boss. More often than not, when you are dealing with larger file formats, you're not able to attach very many of those via email. So then you end up with a problem that you can see on the screen. A pop-up window appears and it says, oh, the file you're attaching is bigger than the server allows. Try putting the file in a shared location and sending a link instead. Great. So that's not only inconvenient, but also hinders productivity. And very likely you won't end up actually, writing a new email or deciding to putting all these files in a shared location. You may just give up altogether, and that's really counterproductive for what you were trying to do. So what ends up happening is that your clients might end up using non-appropriate and outdated methods for sharing files. The good old USB flash drives and CDs. Nowadays, you can really buy them at every corner. They're really quite affordable, and they do have, a large storage volume, but they are also very risky for corporate data because people carry them around. They may use them from machine to machine, and really, there's no real visibility where which data resides, which machines have the document stored on, and there's also that massive risk of losing them. I mean, I can't remember how many USBs I've replaced or misplaced over my lifetime. So while email and devices like USBs might never go away, um, they are not what's best today. They're okay and they're very practical for many individuals, people that don't really, work a whole lot with computers professionally and really just use it to carry the holiday pictures from their house to their parents' house. But when it comes to corporate sensitive data, that's really not what your client should be using. And then, what's emerged is file sync. And the good news is it does offer more flexibility when it comes to sharing data and files and folders. But unfortunately, consumer-grade file sync has also brought its own sets of problems. So this picture shows the ability to share something publicly. You just click on a file and then choose the sharing option. And by doing that, a link is then generated that can be shared. So great news, it's very straightforward, it's very easy to use, but obviously this can also cause its whole own set of security issues. Because if you have a public URL that is just floating around in a public domain, it means that anybody can access this or really download it without difficulties or audit trails. And then all of this data can be propagated very easily. So as an example, let's just look at what's on the screen here. So we have tried to share an item using Dropbox, which generates a link that can be copied, but then it can also be forwarded to literally anyone. And you see that down here, where we've shared that exact same link with 28 other people. So again, that's very risky for sharing sensitive corporate data. And that really shows that file sync is a step in the right direction, but for important data sets, you want to make sure that you have transparency over how this data is used, how it is being accessed, and that you can control the ways that files are being shared. So when we talk about risks with consumer-grade solutions, what exactly do we mean by that? So potential side effects that businesses can face when using consumer-grade services for their sensitive data are data theft, data loss, data corruption, loss of accountability because you really can't see who is accessing which document when and who keeps sharing it. And in really bad case scenarios, that can also lead all the way up to lawsuits. And let's face it, no company would want or really should be dealing with that, right? So the big takeaway here is, especially as an MSP business that people trust in, you need to make sure to weed out any file sharing options that are not secure and that shouldn't be used in the workplace because they are very likely to put your client's data at risk. And making your clients aware of that, because they're often not, for them it just works and it's free and it's straightforward. So they're often not aware of all these risks that are listed here. So making them aware of that is very critical. And at the end of the day, it's a huge growth opportunity for you and your business to educate your clients and introduce new solutions to improve their security. And, I understand that clients want the flexibility, want to be able to access files from wherever they are and work on the go. And you want to have a product that you can offer at a fair price that puts you ahead of the competition and makes it easy to introduce to your clients, to set up and configure, and to manage once it's deployed. And that's a lot of wants and needs on both sides, but that's where we believe Anchor comes in. So most people who will download this webinar or attend this session might be familiar with what Anchor does, but just to be sure that everyone is aware of the product, I want to briefly introduce it to you. So Anchor is a business-grade file sync solution that was developed for MSPs and VARs, and from day one has been built to sync sensitive corporate data. And so it does bring all these functionalities like allowing access from any device, being able to edit documents and collaborate with users both internally and externally, and decide what types of files should be shared to what types of devices. But because it was developed for MSPs, it does bring a handful of very, very useful extra security features that you might be aware of or might be interested in learning more about. So that brings us to today's topic, 3 ways to securely share files with business-grade file sync. And I just want to show you a couple snapshots of how that would look with Anchor. So we have already talked about creating a public share. We've showed you how that looks with Dropbox, and we already explained how that functionality can be very useful. So I just want to make sure to go over this and make sure that everyone knows that this is a basic function that Anchor does provide. So again, not the most secure option, but it is a functionality that works great for something not too sensitive, and it is a very user-simple option. So you just go into your sync tool, which is located on your desktop as the primary repository. You select any file or folder and right-click on it and select Share Link. And then very similar to what we've seen with Dropbox, a public URL is created, and that can be accessed by anyone. And later you will see how it looks when Sean shares something publicly. So what we really want to talk about, though, is secure sharing and the different options that we have for that. So in order to give you and your clients more control and security over how they share files, we added a couple extra steps that clients can take advantage of. So first off, you can choose between creating a public link or a public share with extra security options, or a secure share, and we'll walk you through all these steps. So yeah, as you can see, that already is the first step that makes it very different from a consumer-grade product because it unlocks a full set of extra security solutions. The one I want to speak to you now is the fact that Anchor allows you to set expiration dates. So you can just go through this pop-up window and you can actually say, I want this link to expire on Friday, February 26th. And that means that after that day, no one will be able to download that file any longer. The other thing is that you can set download limits and download notifications. So if you only want this file to be downloaded once, maybe to just be accessed by this one person and make sure that really only they have access to it, you just select download once. And then the interesting thing to know here is that once this download has been done, the link will expire, and that way you're ensured that no one else can forward it to anyone else. And then download notifications have so many use cases where this could come in handy. It basically just means that the sender is being notified when the recipient has opened or downloaded the attachment, and you get a little notification via email. So for example, we recently had a partner who had been sending a proposal to a client and was notified anytime any of the clients downloaded a file. And so why is this useful? It was great for him because it allowed him to just pick up the phone and go, hey, I noticed you were looking at my proposal. In that way, it can start a really relevant conversation while the topic of the attachment is still very fresh in the recipient's mind, and it's just a very on-time follow-up. And then on the other hand, you could also see if, for example, a third-party contractor has opened a file that was sent to him, which can also be highly relevant. But there are also other ways to share with Anchor. Besides sharing a link, you can also specify a recipient. And by doing that, you can add names if they're within the Anchor recipient, or you can add an email and just create a personalized message for every email that you send. And then the ultimate security feature to select is Secure Share. And what it means basically is that in a secure share, credentials are being reinforced, which means that in order to access the files, the recipients must log in with their account in order to access the share. If a recipient is not already an Anchor user, doesn't have an Anchor account, a guest account will automatically be created for them. And that way, again, credentials are being reinforced. And this is really key because by selecting a secure share, you increase your visibility both for internal and external file sharing. And then something that a lot of our clients and partners take advantage of is the Outlook plugin. So that's the final method of sharing that I wanted to show you. Because Anchor does come with an Outlook plugin that can just be downloaded by your users and that make it very, very simple to attach files or links just straight from the shared folder. And that way you can prevent users being challenged by messages that their attachment limit is exceeded, and it's just much more straightforward. And then the other thing to know is that all the security features I just mentioned are also available through the Outlook plugin. So overall, it's just a very nifty feature, especially because so many people are working out of their sync tool, and you can build a lot of value out of Anchor just leveraging this. Clients do care about security, but they care about accessibility and ease of use just as much. So everything we do and develop in terms of that is in hopes that we just bring these two components together in one product and just give clients exactly what they're looking for. So those are the different ways that you can share files and folders with Anchor, and that just give you more transparency in how you collaborate with internal and external parties. And of course, it's always better to see how this looks in real life. So that's what we have Sean for. So Sean, I'm going to give you presenter rights and put you in the spotlight so you can demo how easy and straightforward this is in real life. So you should receive a pop-up window.
There we are. Okay.
And then
Can you see my screen?
not yet, but it usually just takes a little while. Yeah, now I do.
Okay. So the first thing we'll do is a standard public share. So I'll go into my Anchor folder, right-click on a document, and select share link. That will bring me up to the web page and will give me this link. This link I can then copy. I can send it to anyone over IM or an email, and that's just a standard public share.
Exactly.
And I can fire that off, and that will give them access.
Perfect. Yeah. So that's the link. That's the feature that we mentioned with Dropbox in the beginning, and that it's very straightforward. Not the most secure, but very easy to use.
Correct. Yeah. Then the second option we have is for a public share, the same share, but with a specific recipient. So for that, it's the same process to share the link. The only difference is we're going to specify who this is going to be sent to. We're going to go and add in an email address and share that off. That's going to fire off a mail to that person directly and send them that link. We have a look here. We should get that mail coming through.
Yeah, sometimes it's a little delayed. Do you often take advantage of these security features when you share something with your clients, or what's your most preferred sharing option?
Yeah, look, generally the file sharing between staff is used via the app, but a lot of the clients really like the feature to be able to send, like you said, presentations or sensitive information to external users, which don't require the license.
Right.
So, oh, well, that's still taking a while. But what happens is the link comes through here and this page will open up on their screen where they can then download the file.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. And then the next share we have is for us to specify the link but set a download limit. So note to set a download notification. So that will allow us to get notified when somebody opens this email. So we know that they've got the file that they request. And yeah, that's just under share options and just check enable notify and download.
Yeah.
Let's see if this mail comes through quickly. So that will come through to my inbox, hopefully. I did just test it, so it's all working. So
yeah, no, I've had the same issue sometimes. It occasionally helps to log yourself out and then log back in, or like close it and open it again, but sometimes it does take a while with Gmail to get through.
we're going to get a pile of mails coming in shortly.
Yep.
I did just test this. So what happens is once you click the file, this will get generated back to me to say that the shared file was opened by the recipient that we sent it to. So that's what the notification will look like.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly. And then, like we mentioned, that really helps you start a very just very appropriate discussion with that recipient if need be, or if appropriate. Yeah.
And then we can also go through in the sharing options and specify a download limit. So if we only want them to open it once, we don't want them to forward it on to somebody else, we can also specify the limit there to 1 or to 5 or whatever it is. And that will expire after they've downloaded it that many times. And it will just say that the share is expired if they try and open it too many times. Okay. All right, then let me go on with the secure share.
Yep.
The secure share is this option up here, and that will allow me to have the same options, but to force the user to log in. So either I'll go and I'll choose a user from the system, any of the current users that have licenses already. Otherwise, if there's no existing user, let me just do this.
And maybe just to clarify, when you're trying to share something securely, are you able to see just the Anchor users within your own account license, or are you able to see other clients' emails too that have Anchor?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
When you try to share something securely and are looking to share it with someone who already has Anchor, are you only being like the names that popped up just now? Are those the ones that are within your own network of Anchor, or are those ones that are those your clients also that have Anchor deployed?
Yeah, those are. It'll show all accounts that have been created in my system.
Right.
You know, whether they're existing guest accounts or physical Anchor sync license accounts.
Perfect.
So anybody within the system will show up there because it's a secure share that has to be associated with an account on my system.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
So as you can see here, we've chosen secure share with a download limit, notify, and then we've added in the address. They can't upload and they can delete. No, they can't delete, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're doing multiple receipts, it'll show up with all the different rights, and then I can also type in a message here.
Perfect. Yep.
Okay, I'm going to fire that off. It will then create a guest account for the recipient, and it will send them an email explaining that they've been created on the system. It will give their username and password. There we go. So this is the email to say, Sean Smith, which is me, has created a guest account for you. That's the username, and that's the temporary password, and there's the login.
Mm-hmm.
And if we open that up, it will just present us with the login page for our system.
Mm-hmm.
And I can authenticate. And there's the file that I got.
Great.
So this is the guest portal page where any account, whether it's a guest or a full account, will be able to access anything that's been shared with that account.
Mm-hmm.
I can then access that and download it. Again, once it's been downloaded, I will then receive a mail. That should be coming through now. There it is. The
Yep.
secure share has been downloaded by the guest account, and that's the guest account. And that's sent to us through the system, just so that we get notified.
Yep. And we also just saw a little pop-up window
Cool. And
in
then,
the bottom right from your
yeah,
Anchor Sync tool. Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. And then the last way was the Outlook plugin, which is my favorite. It's a lot easier to use from your app, whereby you can just click on here, go into your shared, choose any file that you like, and you can specify all those options here: notify, the limits, expiration, and secure share by default. That will then fire off the share just via your email. And also what happens is that it attaches it as a link. So when they receive this email, it's a link in their email that they'll just click and follow the instructions.
Right.
Another really nice thing that I like about the Outlook plugin is that you can set it to automatically attach any attachment that you're sending to any person. So if I'm just firing off an attachment to somebody, whether it's within Anchor or not, it will upload it, convert it, and send it to them as a link,
Mm-hmm.
which just helps with email traffic too. And that's the 5 different methods of sharing the files using the system.
Perfect. Great. Thank you so much for demoing that. I'm gonna take my presenter rights back. Okay.
Perfect.
Can you see my screen again? Yeah. Now you should. Great. So yeah, thanks for demoing that. I think that's always a much better way to go about it than just looking at screenshots. Maybe just a couple questions for like use cases when you show it to your clients. Do you feel like they catch on to it very easily, or do you need to do a lot of explaining beforehand before they are able to really take advantage of the options?
I think because a lot of the features the clients do understand and have used other products which are very similar, they do pick it up very quickly, and we don't have much fallback as far as support goes. Once it's in and trained, and everyone's on boarded, the system works really well. They need to use it on their own.
Perfect. I like to hear that because that's the whole point, trying to develop a user-friendly, straightforward product. Great.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to bring up a special offer that we
Yeah, absolutely,
like
absolutely.
to offer to everyone who registers and attends the webinar. So related to Anchor, we do offer a 21-day free trial, which you can sign up to by going to this link. And it just allows you to play around with the software a little bit, see if and how it works for your clients or for yourself. And then if you really like it and you feel like, yeah, it's a great alternative to whatever file sync service we are currently using, we have this offer related to 100 Anchor licenses with file server enablement for £400 instead of £650. Now, in case you're not too familiar with the file server enablement feature, I do want to touch upon it briefly because it is something that a lot of partners really love and like to take advantage of. It relates to VPNs and legacy server infrastructures because a lot of companies these days work with remote clients, and historically the way to go about that is by using a VPN to enable them to log into, their office's firewall or servers. And it works great for everyone who's in the office, right? Because they come in, they log into their local Wi-Fi, and everything works great. But for remote users, it tends to cause headaches because connection breaks down, it doesn't work, they give up, and it often leads to very important data being stored on remote devices and collaboration breaking down. So then what's the alternative? Dropbox's answer to the problem, for example, is rip out all the file servers, just get rid of them, put everything in the cloud. The way we like to think about it is, why would you do that really? Because you already have the file server, it's already completely installed, configured, and it works for half the company. It works for everyone who's in the office. So our suggestion is use the file server configurations and elegantly transition them to the cloud. So with that feature, you're able to just map folders and setups to the specific users and team shares, and that way allow everyone who works remotely to just access all file server documents through the sync tool. Sean, are you taking advantage of the file server enablement?
The features that sell the product, it's a really great feature.
Sorry, I think you're cutting off a little bit, but I think you said it's a really great feature, um, which is great. We like to hear that. Um, but yeah, I think you're just a little delayed.
Yes, yeah, that's one of the main pillars. Yeah, that's
Perfect. Sorry, I think you're cutting off, Sean. Um, maybe, yeah, I don't think you're talking right now. But I can hear you. Um, but
I'm
yeah, okay, perfect. Hi. Great. So with that, I just want to make sure that no one has any questions. We're at the end of the presentation, and I hope the bottom line for you guys is it's great to have, a public share that you can generate and leverage because it is very straightforward. It is very simple, but it is not very secure. It works in certain use cases, but for your clients, there should definitely be more options when it comes to sensitive data. Um, and so we hope you notice that with Anchor, or just having a business-grade file sync service really enables you to have more flexibility, more control over your sharing, being able to monitor how it's being accessed when, who downloads what, where, and that way just gain more overview, transparency, work better with your clients. And overall, it's features that not a lot of other competitive products provide and could help you stand out a whole lot. Just want to make sure there are no questions. Sean, maybe just from your experience, how did you hear about Anchor originally? What made?
I think it was through an MSP channel. We're always on the lookout for MSP related products and services that we can bundle on with our primary services. And yeah, we just did a bit of a search. We came across Anchor Works before, and yeah, we used it. We loved it, and we use it every day.
Great. Did you use any other file sync product beforehand?
Yeah, we did. We tried quite a few. Obviously, we started with the generic consumer-based, Dropbox, etc. And we did try another product briefly, which didn't work out very well. It didn't have all the features. It wasn't as clear-cut and easy to use.
Mm-hmm.
And we've never looked back since
Nice.
finding Anchor.
Perfect. And do you feel like it puts you ahead of the competition in your local markets?
Yeah, absolutely, especially with the laws that are being implemented around the world with regards to where content is stored and who has access to it, that sort of thing. So especially in the financial institutions, data is quite key. So they're happy to use a product that we can keep within the regulations.
Right. Yeah, we had a really nice webinar last week actually about data security in Europe versus the US. And although we are a company that is headquartered in the US, we do have a data center in Amsterdam. So we can guarantee that all data from EMEA partners and clients can be stored in the EU under EU regulations, or you can, put it into your own data center and host it as a private cloud for yourself or use your own infrastructure for your clients to use. So there is some flexibility. And Sean, I also saw that you take advantage of the white label feature of the product. So was that another reason why you really, thought that you could benefit from Anchor, or was it just something, a nice side effect?
I think that's just an additional feedback. We generally, when we deploy a site, we will then brand it with their logo. It will be their in-house sync tool for their employees and their client communications.
Right.
Just a little extra value add.
Right.
Which we love.
Yeah, that's why, and most of our clients do take advantage of the white label feature for the web portal, the sync tool, and any marketing material that we provide. But yeah, all right. Well, there don't seem to be any other questions, so don't want to keep anyone on the line. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thanks, Sean, for demoing the different steps to share files. It was great to have you with us. And everyone else, stay tuned. There will be more webinars coming soon, and we'll keep you posted on those.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you, Ari.
Perfect. Thank you. Bye.